How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.
You guys are general life philosophy.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, Qwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, Bets TV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. Welcome to the Bets TV studios here. This is Last Word Cheetah. I am Preston Johnson, hosting the show alongside my co-host and producer, Qwan Young, who told me he was dreaming of roasted peanuts all night. Forgot to bring in the bag, but Ruben is calling his
get at me.
Hit me up. Welcome to those tuning in from the Game Plus Network. We welcome everyone that generally likes to call the show. We appreciate it. We are a show that opens up the phone lines here in a few minutes. We take your calls, talk through your bets. We track them throughout the month, and we give away cash to those that are on top at the end of each month. And Tom Davis, my goodness, he is a crusher. Another W last night on the Yankees, which, by the way, I misquoted his price. Qwan, by the way, you know how all the mistakes that he's made in the past, he caught it. He said, hey, you said minus 134 when the Yankees were the dog in Atlanta. Should be plus 124, 125, I think is what the best price at the time was on the dog side. So, Tom, you got a little bit of extra there. Your lead continues to increase. Well done. We will take your call. I'm sure many others that are trying to play catch up here. The final week or so of August. A couple of announcements, though. First one. Today is Wednesday. We launched the new Steam Morning show, the live release show with Right Angle Sports last Wednesday. We're running it back last Wednesday, right at 3 o'clock Pacific. They released Kansas State pick. It's up and settled into minus 2.5. So it was good EV, good at least projected EV going forward in that game against Stanford. Likely another college football play later today. So tune in at 3, 6 Eastern if you missed it last week. I think we ended up getting like quite a few viewers on that. So it was good. Beat out my show, that's for sure. So shout out. And it's really short. It's only like 10 to 12 minutes. We basically let everyone join, chat it up for a couple of minutes. They give out the pick. There's a few fake outs so people aren't like front running. They don't know which play it actually is. We lock in the real play, and I break it down for 2 minutes, and we sign off. So it's not going to take anyone's time. It's not like an hour straight. Quan's going to get rich, and you probably won't even be here anymore.
That's it. I'm about
Partner
to make
up
my
with
move.
Ruben.
About to make my move with all of these Steam Warning plays, and then we're going to get in the NFT space.
There you go.
And then that's it. That's it for Last Word Cheetah.
He heard me on another podcast I was doing in the studio right before we went live, and the wheels are turning. Quan's got something. Him and Ruben are going to draw something up at least. Other announcement. This is very close to 100%. I'm not sure if it's 100, so you can't hold me to it. But I believe we'll be launching, again, officially, as its own show, Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire, starting next Monday. And it will air immediately after Last Word Cheetah. So 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. And for those that are unfamiliar with it, it sounds just like it sounds. Believe that or not, it sounds like it sounds. Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire? You guys call in. There's tiers, 7 days where you can win cash if you pick a winner on day 1. You call back day 2 if you win on day 1. If you win on day 2, you call day 3. It just ladders up. $25,000 if you're able to make it through the entire 7-day series or game, as we'll call it. So that starts next Monday. Now the football season is coming in. We're hoping that we can do some regular shows and also get someone to make it through, because we've done a few test runs and no one can get past day 3. And you do get $250 just for getting through day 3. So hopefully we get someone that gets hot. Those are the announcements. I think those are the 2 main things. So, Qwan, today we're going to take more calls. We'll see if anyone can catch up to Tom Davis. We also have Marcas Grant from the NFL Network calling back in the second half of the show to break down the NFC North. Are you going to be okay?
I'm waiting for the analysis, and then I'm going to go probably full steam ahead.
I actually considered putting you on the spot in the open and saying we're going to talk NFC North today. Quan's got the next 56 minutes. Go ahead.
It's going to be 56 minutes of straight negativity.
Quan's from Detroit. We joke around about it, so if you're a new listener, he is from Detroit. He pretends, and I'll probably tell Marcus the same thing, he pretends he's not he pretends he doesn't care about the Lions, but he's definitely a Lions fan, and he definitely cares. It just is rough because they stink.
It's not totally wrong. Like, I
Nothing wrong with
care.
that.
It's just, you know how.
No, you play it off. You're like, oh yeah, they stink.
No.
But then you watched the entire like preseason game and knew every single play and intricacy of that.
This is how. Basically, this is it. You know how you wanted something really great for Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate.
Sure.
And you just keep getting socks every year, and the socks progressively get worse each year. So at this point, I just enjoy the socks for what they are. They just keep my shoes non-smelly. That's it.
I'll be honest, that analogy hit better than I was expecting about 8 seconds ago. So well done. It's actually a good mindset to have that, like, hey, be happy with what you have. Be grateful. Low expectations makes it seem like sad.
No expectations.
But it doesn't have to be sad. I actually think it's worth. I've been trying to teach my little kids this, like, hey, like you can't just get every dang toy you want to see at Target.
Make them watch Lions games.
You want to go to the park tonight? Well, look, we're exhausted. We're not going to play at the park. We're going to relax at home. We need to clean up the house. Like, you got to teach people that there's different levels of expectations. Yeah. I think that's fine. It applies to life, sports, betting, gambling. Well done.
No expectations.
All from the socks.
Just hope that they go out there and they have fun. That's it. That's where I'm at this point.
We're going to have some fun for the next 20 minutes or so. We're going to take your calls. You can open up the lines now. We have time to take a call before the first break if anyone so pleases. If not, we'll take a break. And on the other side, in a few minutes, we'll start getting into it. My thought, if you recall, Qwan, about a week ago, so kind of giving Tom Davis, who's just been on this heater, some love. The main reason he didn't call into this show until mid-August. Really, anyone can call in. You're playing from behind if you call in toward the end of the month, but it doesn't matter. Get a few reps in. And then for September, you'll be set. So he calls in middle of August. He knows he's behind because some of the other callers started super hot in August. He says, I got to start firing some 2- and 3-team parlays. He hit 5 of his first 7. So he's hitting 3-teamers, a couple of 2-teamers. He's way ahead. I think he's gone like 2-1 now on straight bets since. So he's actually increased his lead. But otherwise, I think it was a week ago, as he was still firing these parlays, I said, I would take the field versus Tom. And if that's the case, anyone else can win at the end of the month. Quan's like, I want Tom's side. He's like, I think we could do this. And I think we were going to do some sort of bet. Unfortunately, Quan's already donated $200 into the cash prize pool himself for August because I don't even remember. What did you fail to do? Oh, your kickball.
It was kickball.
Yeah, you guys didn't win that tournament that you somehow lucked into even getting into the playoff to begin with. Yeah, that was a bad call. So were the hot dogs. So were the free throw shooting. But I think you're a favorite now coming into this final week stretch of August. Tom has about a 7-unit lead. It's going to require someone to hit, out of the park parlay of some sort, 4 or 5-teamer, bunch of underdogs. But do you have is Carlos on the leaderboard?
Not anymore.
Third? He's not?
No, it's Tom. Here,
unfortunate.
Pull it out.
So here's what's interesting. Do you know what Carlos's actual numbers are? 3 point something?
1, I believe.
So when he actually tried to do the 4-teamer and I kept him off of the Nats, he would have won 16-1. If he's at 3.4-ish, if you add 11 to that, he would be in the lead right now still by about half to 1 unit. So I think one thing is correct. I'm going to cost Carlos the month. And I was also wrong about Tom taking care of business. I think now he's a good favorite to take it down. So we're going to take our first break. We'll open up the line. 661-515-BETS is our number. We'll take all of your calls the next segment. And then we got Marcas Grant from the NFL Network that will join us after to break down the NFC North and Qwan's Detroit Lions. You want to know how easy this is? You told me, hey, Carlos is first up in line. I already knew to fire up the parlay calculator tab. I don't even have to make you guys wait in real time. Carlos, welcome to Last Word Cheetah. We already know you're going to try for something. What do you like tonight? Are you going to the diamond?
I am going to the diamond. I actually am going to an actual diamond. I'm taking my son, and let it be known that we are not going to bet on this game. We are going to see Shohei Ohtani tonight, so I'm excited about that at Baltimore. Yeah, so real excited about that.
You have to bet that game then, don't you?
Absolutely not. No, I'm not doing that.
He's learning. Yeah, there you go.
Let's see. We're going to go Colorado Rockies.
Okay, I can give you minus 138 on that. Next.
We're going to do Arizona Pittsburgh over 8.5. I'm not sure if it's 8.5, 9.
I can give you 9 plus 100.
Take that. I want to do Milwaukee team total over.
Milwaukee team total over. Give me a minute. I have to pull that 4.5 at plus money slightly, 105.
And Texas team total over. And that's it.
Who did you say, San Francisco?
No, Texas.
Texas, got it. Interesting. They're a pretty big underdog. You want to go over?
Team total.
I can do a 3.5 juiced pretty heavily. That's actually probably better for you since it's a parlay anyway. Better chance at actually hitting this. Let's do a minus 155 on 3.5. And it's almost 11-1, which I don't know if you recall, Carlos. That's 11 units that I cost you when I talked you out of the Nats. The difference between 16 and 5. So it feels like destiny. We give them 11-1, Qwan, on the 4-teamer. Good luck and enjoy the game, man. Have you guys been to see games very often, or is this one of the first ones because of COVID the last few years?
Yeah, it's been one of the few, especially with him. He hasn't been. Like I said, we went to the MLS game this past weekend. That was his first soccer. Him and my first soccer game. So this will be our first baseball game of the year. So we're excited, and that's his favorite player. So
very nice. Excellent. You enjoy. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Cool.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
We need to probably go see Ohtani. We live right here.
Yeah, I feel like
especially this season, like historically great. I haven't seen him play yet. That's probably a mistake. Maybe when he goes up against Garrett Cole and the Yankees, I believe, still coming up in the next few days. I got to look into this, but we should go see Ohtani. And against the Yankees, against Garrett Cole would maybe be for the Cy Young potentially. Would be interesting. Do we have someone else on the line? No, we're good. We're clear. All right. So do me a favor, Qwan. I know you're trying to handle two things at once right now. Can you post the NFC North prices? We're going to talk to Marcas Grant later on the show from the NFL Network. But I wanted to just kind of dive in while we wait for your calls. Again, 661-515-BETS. We have another 12 or 13 minutes or so before we'll have Marcas on. The first thing I did, my first reaction, Qwan, if you recall, when you posted this, making sure the numbers are correct, is I started laughing at just all of the numbers and characters that needed to fit on the bottom row.
All the numbers for the Lions.
Like 28-1 the Lions just to win the division. Oh my gosh, 250-1 Super Bowl. Look, no offense. We know they're going to be bad. I tried to make a case for them when we did a little rundown a couple months ago. But that was mostly me just trying to be optimistic. The one that is intriguing me the most is the Packers at 10.5. LaFleur, A-Rod, look, fantastic last 2 years. He wins his MVP. It's been really strange and weird, though, with how this all shook out in the offseason. And we mentioned it with Drew briefly, and we'll talk to Marcus about it later on the show. But their schedule this year goes to another level in difficulty. Like, they benefited from a really nice schedule, especially last season. I think it's going to be pretty tough for them to just get to that 11 mark necessarily. And with the weirdness of the Aaron Rodgers situation to begin with, I'm intrigued to hear from Marcus from a fantasy perspective, like what he's doing with the Packers, but certainly not a team I would be betting on. I'm not bullish on whatever the hell's happening in Green Bay. We'll get into more of that with Marcus later. Just wanted to kind of get everyone prepped with some of the pricing. We do have a call, so we'll patch them through. Welcome to Last Word, Cheetah. Who am I speaking with?
Preston and Qwan. How's it going, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. What do you like tonight?
I got to do a long shot parlay, so I want to go the Twins.
Okay, Minnesota, I can give you plus 145.
That works. The Rangers.
All right, we were just looking at that game. I can give you plus 178.
That works. And the Reds, please.
How many of these have you tried? Have you kept track over the course of the last week and a half?
I've tried so far this month. Let me see here.
He's got the document.
I've tried 2 of them, a 26-1 and a 22-1.
Oh, okay. So the longer shot ones you've only tried 2 other times. So this pays over 16-1. It's plus 1603. I'm not 100% sure where you're at overall. I'm guessing you're down a couple of units. So this would put you basically right in line with Tom. If we were to hit, you'd be around the plus 13 to plus 14 mark. That's my best guess. I think Qwan's trying to pull it up.
That'll work.
But yeah, I think it puts you in good shape. So we'll lock you in plus 16.
And I got a
go ahead.
for you, Preston.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts on? I know it's a little ways away, but do you have any thoughts on the survivor pick for Week 1 in NFL?
I have not looked at it, to be completely honest. Let me ask you. The only reason that you're asking is because you're probably unsure about what you want to do yourself. Which are the couple of teams that you're eyeing at least, or you're trying to decide between? And I'll take a look.
I'm leaning, especially after listening to your all's talk and how bearish that, I guess, the whale capper, I forget what his name was, how bearish he is on the Rams, that might be a good spot to take them, because the Bears have just looked absolutely disgusting this preseason at least. So that's what I'm thinking, but yeah, I'm not completely sure. I was also looking at San Francisco over Detroit, but also given on that guy's talk, might want to use San Fran a bit later. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Obviously, if he's right, they're not going to be reaching or playing at a level people anticipate and the market anticipates entering the season, then it'd be best to use them maybe now while they're laying 7.5 against Chicago at home, rather than, now I'm stuck using the Rams in week 8. It's kind of ugly. They're only laying 3.5 or something, I think that's totally a fair read. And San Francisco, it's against Qwan's Lions, so can't really be wrong there either. But again, if San Francisco's overachieving or Trey Lance takes them to a ceiling that's even higher, then you might even find a better spot in a week 8 or week 9 down the road to take the Niners. So I think that's a fair read. I would do the same thing.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, no problem. Take care. Who we got next, Qwan? Patrick.
Hey, Preston. It's Patrick.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I didn't hear all of the last call and your reasoning on the survivor, but I love to think about that kind of theory. So remember last year, who was it? The Colts lost to the Jags in week 1, and
right away.
Everybody, or the vast majority of survivor contestants had the Colts. So, I always try to be on something nobody else is on. Because the goal is to win, not just to go with the consensus pick. So, that's always been my strategy.
At first glance, since you said that in about 8 seconds, the Bills at a similar implied win probability, I don't think people will be taking nearly as often. It's it's the Steelers, right? The perception is still that the Steelers are probably going to be good. They could beat Buffalo in week 1, which they totally could, obviously. But that's one that at a similar win probability scale will probably be less chosen than the Niners or the Rams. That's my first guess. So going with Patrick's theory, maybe that would be the way to go.
Yeah. So, okay. So anyway, I'm continue to fall behind Tom. So I'm going to have to go out of my comfort zone here.
Okay.
I'm going to go with golf. I want Morikawa for a top 5. And I don't know anything about golf. I don't handicap it. I just know a couple sharp people who like him this week. So as opposed to going outright, Colin Morikawa.
Who are the sharp people that you're following?
Yeah, what's his name? D-Makes on Twitter.
Okay.
And actually, I have a friend who he handicaps a lot of golf too, so he likes Morikawa this week as well.
Did you hear that, Qwan? He almost said, "I have a guy." He almost said it. And then he changed it to.
I bet you he has a guy.
He probably has a golf guy. Patrick, we know golf.
But
he definitely does.
don't have a nut guy though. I'm very jealous of your nut guy.
Nobody has a peanut guy, and now I do through the other dude. Look, We'll lock him in. I'm gonna pull it up. I was just curious while I was trying to buy some time. You can do this, by the way, because the last day of the month, August 31st, is Tuesday. This tournament will end before Tuesday, so you're allowed to do this. It counts. Anyone listening that wants to take a shot at weekend college football, you can lock that in today, or golf in this matter. What's the price that you're seeing, Patrick? I'm only going to pull up 2 spots just for the sake of time.
I see 410 at FanDuel. I've looked a couple other places, and that's the best price I see.
Yeah, 410. That's what I just pulled up. Cool. We'll lock you in for that, plus 410.
All right.
Morikawa.
All right. See ya.
Cool. Take it easy. We have someone else up? No, we're good. All right. Man, I think I've told you this before, but so I didn't golf at all till like after I got back from doing my church mission. I lived in Portugal. I came back, I was in college, and like my friends started golfing, and I was like, all right, I got to get into it. Pretty coordinated. Like you've seen me shoot a basketball. Like I got pretty good. Like right away, it wasn't like so difficult. But then I got addicted to it. And for like 2 years straight, I played 2 or 3 times a week. Now, in Utah, there's the snow months. You couldn't play at all. But those other 9 months out of the year, more or less. Then I had a child. And she's like 6 now. Like it's been a while. I've honestly playing 2-3 times a week with the guy that played in college. So I was picking up some stuff. Like he was getting me in a pretty good spot. I loved it. I've probably played a total of 6 rounds, like 1 a year since I had my first kid. And other stuff started happening with betting and other things. You just don't have time to be like, hey, honey, I'm going to leave like all day Saturday and play for 6 or 7 hours of golf. I wish I could do it. And I think if I was still playing, then I would be like all over betting on golf too. But I just can't dip my toes in. I know it'll be bad for my family life or something in that regard. So I'm out on golf, but
it's been a minute since last time I played was a golf outing. There was a lot of Crown Royal involved. I did not hit well at all, but that's pretty much par for the course. Come on. Come on.
You tried so hard. I like immediately started shaking my head. I didn't even have to think about it. Like
it was, I sucked. Like I picked it up my senior year after like football and everything died down. I don't think I told you this story, but no, I did tell you this story. I was walking. I gave our lineman my club. I was hitting in like the IM field. We got this big open field, and I had just picked up golf. So I'm walking across the field, and like the most accurate shot ever, it was like a line drive right at my chest.
Oh, yeah.
And he hit me.
Just crushed you.
Yeah.
Did you break a rib or anything?
No, it hit. I think it hit me like right in the middle of my sternum. I think I had like a bruise for a couple of days.
Wow.
So that's when I realized that game was dangerous, not only from the hitting perspective, but the getting hit perspective.
Before the kids, I got my wife out on the course a few times, and she played with this college player with me and him, and she didn't hit him, but she like chunked one like almost directly to the right where he was standing by his car, and he had to do a little hop step. And I don't know if she's played since, to be honest. I think she was super embarrassed, so I don't know if we'll ever get back into it. But last thing, and we have to take a break in about 2 minutes, so if we want to try to fit in one more call, feel free. The line is open. We've been trying to think of some more challenges that we can do for this, like the prize pools we do each month for the callers. Look, we only have $200 from Qwan in the pool right now. One that I've really wanted to do has been, and I mentioned this to Qwan. Yeah, tell him we'll be with him in just a minute. I forgot we don't have to take this break today, so we're good. We're clear. I want to take a day at a par 3, unlimited amount of balls to hit, and see if I can hit a hole-in-one. Say it's like a 10 to 12 hour day. I don't know if I can swing that many times in 10 or 12 hours anyways. Maybe I only last 6 hours before I'm dead. But I want to see if I had a par 3 hole to myself for an entire day, what are the odds that I hit a hole-in-one? Maybe I'm swinging hundreds of times for sure. Maybe I can actually get 1,000 attempts in. I'm actually not sure. And again, Played 6 times in the last 6 years, something in that range. But if anyone listening in Orange County or LA has some sort of connection at a golf course, and we can rent a par 3, even if it's like their holes 19 through 27 or something, their side course, let us rent one for a day. Maybe it's rainy that day or something. Anything. I would love to put up a phone, stream me hitting balls for a few hours, trying to get a hole in one, price it, do some sort of contest. And if I don't, I put money into the jar. You guys get more money. I don't know. Something like that would be fun. So we need to figure it out. We need to find a course that'll let us rent out a hole for a day.
Last Word Cheetah, live from the TPC at Irvine.
Want to go down to, is it Torrey Pines?
Yeah.
Like the nicest course down south.
I think I could pull off a nice Bernie Lundquist.
Okay. Yeah. Make some calls.
Yeah.
Make it happen. All right, let's bring in the call. I think, was it Ty that you said is on?
We got Tom Davis.
Tom, the leader.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm going to just call you the man, the myth, the legend every time. You don't lose. What is it today? What do you like?
Oh, Tampa Bay, Philly.
Total, or are you looking for a side?
Side.
Which side?
Tampa. I like Tampa.
Okay, I can go plus 135. You would be playing against the move on the Phillies and Wheeler today.
Well,
it's actually moved.
Strike it, because the last time he told me that, it blew up in my face.
Okay. We can do that. I mean, yeah, it's fine. You're not locked in. Go ahead and change it.
All right, Dodgers and Dago.
Dodgers?
Yes,
Let me
sir.
see. Pulling up the number. You just want the money line?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Minus 140. Minus 140. Does that work?
That works for me, sir.
All right. We'll lock you in. Keep up the good work, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. I snagged your NFT off the DraftKings earlier. It's got your name on it, brother.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. What you got the Gretzky one? Is that what it was?
No. They got the tennis girl today.
Osaka.
Yeah.
Got you. Good luck with those. I never really looked at the DraftKings stuff.
As soon as they let us transfer, you got one with your name on it, brother.
Beautiful. I'll take it for sure. I'm not saying no. Thanks, Tom. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right, my man. Peace.
Actually, DraftKings should probably be paying us to like tout their NFT stuff that they just launched. If there's one sports betting show that also could talk a little NFTs, just saying.
Wink, wink.
Let's bring on. You have Marcus ready?
Yeah, we do.
Beautiful. Lovely. Marcas Grant back with us on Last Word Cheetah. Thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it. Go ahead from the start. I'm just going to let you kind of tell people where they can find you, what your Twitter handle is, and then we'll jump into the NFC North.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, you can find me. Pretty much everything is on my Twitter handle at Marcas G, MarCasG. Find it there. Whatever I'm writing at NFL.com, the podcast. You can find it anywhere. The NFL Fantasy Football Show. And just a quick note: Monday, August 30th, NFL Fantasy Live is back on NFL Network. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. As I always say, set your DVRs.
Excellent. Appreciate that. We got to start with the Lions because they're the bottom of the barrel in this division. And my producer, DeQuan Young, he is from Detroit. He tries to pretend like he doesn't care. They stink, but he definitely cares. He hates it. He's in turmoil. Tell us, what do we expect? What can we see? I know you're more like the fantasy side, and we'll break down some of the betting stuff after we wrap up. But like, who's the player or two that maybe can add value to people from the fantasy perspective? Maybe can the Lions just surprise us as a whole? Like, what's your general thoughts on Detroit?
I think we all kind of know who the Lions are, and it's funny because all the friends I have who are Lions fans also sort of have this weird sort of love-hate relationship with their team. So I certainly understand how that works out. Oddly enough, though, there are a handful of guys that I kind of like fantasy-wise off this team. I mean, TJ Hawkinson looks like he's going to be the number one target there. I've got him as my 5th tight end right now because it's that old adage of somebody's got to catch the football, right? Yeah. I'm sort of down on DeAndre Swift. I kind of was before with Anthony Lynn talking up Jamal Williams. I've kind of been drafting Jamal Williams for that reason because I think he's going to have a pretty good role in that offense. But you can get him 7-8 rounds later than you have to draft DeAndre Swift. Now with Swift hurt and not sure about week 1, that makes it even a little bit more dicey if you're looking at him. But the guy that I really love in this offense is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Part of it is me admittedly being a USC homer and wanting to see the Trojans do well wherever they go. But part of it is he's been playing really well throughout training camp. Looks like he's going to be their starting slot receiver. The thing people keep saying about him is that he can sort of be in Detroit for Jared Goff what Cooper Kupp was for Jared Goff in Los Angeles. And that seems pretty interesting to me, especially if you're talking about a guy with, an ADP of the 13th, 14th round. It is very minimal risk in terms of your draft capital for potential decent reward for a guy who could be, a nice depth add to your fantasy wide receiver roster.
I don't do fantasy as frequently. I would not have guessed he was as low as 13th or 14th round as far as his ADP goes.
Probably not for me because I keep boosting him up just by drafting him.
Yeah. And then you mention it on a few shows and everyone starts drafting him and it moves. But, I mean, when you're down, which the Lions will be down in a lot of games, they have to throw it to someone, which you alluded to with Hawkinson. Those are two great options. And even Jamal Williams out of the backfield can make some plays. He's done it before in Green Bay. Let's move on. Next up the list, we're going from the bottom up, the Chicago Bears. I wish I had more of an opinion on the Bears. Qwan, again, referencing him. He thinks Nagy could actually be a good candidate to win Coach of the Year and surprise people.
Wait a minute.
What? You're changing your mind?
No. You got to put it in context. I said it's a long shot. I think if they bring Justin Fields along, there's a lot of opportunity there.
Okay, so let's say Qwan is right, Marcus. Justin Fields, whoever it may be, whether it's just the Bears as a whole winning 9, 10 plus games and surprising people. How does that happen? And who are some of the weapons that you can utilize in your fantasy drafts?
Well, it definitely has to be because Justin Fields comes in and turns into the guy we think he can be and does it pretty immediately. I don't know if he has to be quite like Justin Herbert last year, but he's going to have to be pretty good for that to happen. Look, there's a reason people are drafting him because we do expect that it's not a matter of if he becomes a starter, it's just a matter of when he takes over for Andy Dalton. So he's another guy that's coming off the board in the double-digit rounds. I certainly have taken my shots at him because that rushing upside is very tantalizing. If you're looking sleeper-wise, Darnell Mooney has kind of become every fantasy analyst's favorite sleeper at the wide receiver spot there. We know who Allen Robinson is. He's still going to be legit. He's going to be a top-tier wideout, but if you're looking for value, Mooney's kind of that guy. The other guy who I think is becoming more popular now is David Montgomery. And I think he's sort of he's shaking off the expectations that we set for him as a rookie. He was not great as a rookie like we thought he would be. And I think that hurt him last year. So people were sort of down on him. Then late last year, he had a really fortunate schedule down the stretch. And he took advantage of it. And for a lot of people who either held on to him or maybe traded for him midway through the season, he helped a lot of people get deep in the fantasy playoffs, maybe even win a championship. I think he can sort of be that guy again this year. The schedule on paper, at least, is very favorable for Montgomery. Tariq Cohen is still working his way back from an injury, which opens up some pass catching opportunities for him. And so a guy that I think at the start of the spring and summer, we were sort of meh about, people have started to kind of dig into it a little bit, and he started to become a little bit more interesting to people. So what was maybe once a bargain in the 4th or 5th round, now you're looking at maybe a 3rd round ADP, which to me feels just about right for him.
So let me preface here the Minnesota Vikings with, actually, let's start with this. You're in the know in the NFL. You have contacts outside of even the fantasy world. Is there any chance that Kellen Mond is going to actually play quarterback for the Vikings instead of Kirk Cousins outside of an injury?
I don't think so. I think it's an injury look, Kirk Cousins is very much at risk of COVID. I'm not wishing it on him, but he's a guy who has been very vocal about not getting vaccinated, right? So that certainly, as we've seen with Cam Newton, with Lamar Jackson, with a lot of players, that is a competitive disadvantage. So again, I'm not wishing for it. I'm not asking for it, but it is something that is in play. But I think that's going to be the kind of thing that gets Kellen Mond on the field. I know he's looked good at times in preseason, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to push Cousins aside.
Okay, I've just seen some people bringing it up for the similar reasons there. They like Mond. Maybe if you're in a keeper league, he's a good late-round stash potentially. So I just thought it was interesting. As far as fantasy goes, it's pretty straightforward in my opinion. You got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and you have obviously Dalvin Cook at running back. I will say this. We were with Matthew Berry in Frisco for a fantasy conference about, it's been almost 2 months now. But his number one sleeper that he was giving out when we did an interview with him back then was Irv Smith Jr. at tight end. So what are your thoughts on Irv Smith Jr. and then just the rest of the guys that are kind of the mainstays?
Yeah, and hashtag let Irv swerve, right? That's kind of the thing that's been floating around fantasy Twitter for a while because he is sort of the only real option there, because as you mentioned, there are the mainstays. For better or worse, what I kind of love about Kirk Cousins at quarterback is he tends to just have tunnel vision. It was before he was throwing either to Stephon Diggs or Adam Thielen. That was kind of it. You take Diggs out of the mix, you replace him with Justin Jefferson. The formula's still pretty much the same. It's either Jefferson or Thielen getting most of the targets. Dalvin Cook, as long as he's healthy, is going to be the main guy in that backfield. So it's one of those things where for fantasy, we love predictability. We want to know where the football is going. And the Vikings are very predictable in that there's basically 3 guys that are going to get the bulk of the work. So that does sort of leave maybe Irv Smith as kind of the only real sleeper option, especially now that Kyle Rudolph is out of the mix there. You hope that maybe Smith is the guy that gets some looks down near the goal line. But really, it's kind of a 3-man fantasy weave when you're talking about the Vikings this year.
It is. It worries me some. I don't know, something, and I can't put anything on this, but the Vikings, I feel like, are set up. That's why I asked the Kellen Mond question partly, too, is I don't know. It feels like there's just a downside and a floor to them, especially with their defense being just so atrocious that it was against the pass last year. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off topic, but there's something that makes me think the Vikings might just vastly underachieve. And I'm worried. For some reason, I've been hesitant to draft any Vikings players. And we'll see if I'm right or wrong about that, but I'm kind of taking a stance because people are drafting the other 3 guys fairly high, right? Last thing, the Packers. Dude, weird season. Off-season, Aaron Rodgers, all that stuff going on. I don't know how to really approach drafting Packers players. I guess you just expect normalcy because it's Aaron Rodgers and company. Do you have someone that kind of you think could sneak up and be a weapon for Aaron Rodgers that isn't just their main guys, or do you kind of just stick with the main that you can trust?
I think the guy that I'd keep an eye on is A.J. Dillon. Jamal Williams, we talked about him being in Detroit now. Dillon steps into that Williams role, and it is not an insignificant role. I mean, Jamal Williams got the ball quite a bit there, and I think Dillon can sort of be that guy. And then, if something were to happen to Aaron Jones, then all of a sudden that's that much more opportunity for A.J. Dillon. But other than that, it's sort of the people you think about, right? Devontae Adams is going in the first round. Aaron Jones is going either late first or very early in the second. Aaron Rodgers is still coming off the board as a top 10 quarterback. You're probably, having to get him in the 5th or 6th round if you want him on your roster. After that, it really is just a series of sort of dart throws. Maybe you like Robert Tonyan to think he can do that again last year, although he was very touchdown dependent. Maybe you want to, close your eyes and cross your fingers and hope that Alan Lazard or Marquez Valdez-Scantling can turn into something. But outside of the main culprits there's just not a ton to really get excited about outside of just hoping that things break your way.
Right on. I think that does it for the NFC North. Marcas, people can find you at Marcas, Marcasg. You can find them over at NFL.com, NFL Network, the Fantasy Live show coming up. We appreciate your time again, man. You take it easy and good luck this season.
Appreciate it. You guys take care.
See ya. Nice work. I like the A.J. Dillon snag, actually. I mean, Jamal was getting some run regardless, even when Aaron Jones was having big games. A.J. Dillon's sneaky. I like that one.
Yeah. He made some, like the Kirk Cousins point. That's really probably why you're skeptical. I think because he's so adamant about not getting the shot, that's probably gonna reflect. Like, if he misses 1-2 games that they have a shot to win in, like, it's gonna be the Packers or the Bears. Like, it's gonna be those divisional games to where they get an opportunity because they're playing for the wild card. Because I think that everybody knows that's Green Bay's division, so he's going to miss games, I'm assuming, either through like some type of close contact or something like that. So you got to keep that in mind when you're talking Minnesota.
Like, this is what really bugs me, and I'm not sure they addressed it enough in the offseason. And I know I wanted to like hit on it a second while we were doing the interview, but I just wanted to like kind of prep for right now because this was my main point I wanted to make about the division outside of Qwan and the Lions and making fun of him for that. And the Aaron Rodgers stuff, like, it's been talked about enough, whatever. But I think maybe 10.5 is too high. They've played a really tough schedule. Excuse me. They've played a really easy schedule. They have a tougher schedule this year. I don't think you can just lock them into 13 wins again or something. Minnesota last year against the run, 32nd in success rate, dead last in the NFL. Against the pass, 27th. Like, this is a defense, and I don't think they really solved the problem. that if there's just one like injury to Minnesota or Kirk Cousins, like he comes off as the guy that just like could kind of just like Jay Cutler the season, 6 games in. I probably shouldn't, throw that at him. I should apologize to Vikings fans, but I don't know. And you're never supposed to do stuff, whether it's betting, fantasy, on like a vibe or a feeling. You never do that. You want to be able to quantify something and then act accordingly. I got this weird feeling that I can't quantify Minnesota's going to stink on defense. They're playing a bunch of shootouts. Maybe that's good fantasy. But I also just am kind of like, you can get a 9. You can get some 9.5s that are juiced under at like minus 145. That's the team I'm most skeptical about. Well, everyone's like, oh, the Lions are bad. The Bears have looked so bad in the preseason. So they just assume the Vikings will be fine because they have all these names that are like fantasy names. So now kind of pivoting to the betting aspect of this, I don't think their defense is enough, or did they address it enough to get to a point where they're going to be able to win 10-plus games, even in a 17-game season, especially with just some weirdness, I think, with potentially Kirk Cousins and then Kellen Mond maybe getting some run. If like they get to a point where you're 3-6 to start, or even like a 2-4, do you just find an excuse to like see what Mond has at some point there? And then there's obviously the downside with Cousins and COVID, which Marcus alluded to as well. So I think it's an under for me on Minnesota, especially if you can get the 9.5s. We looked a couple of shops, minus 135 to minus 145 range, or you can get a 9 at about plus 100 to plus 110. I think both are okay. But that's kind of my feel here in the NFL. The NFC North. Any last thoughts for you?
I'm not any player props on DeAndre Swift out there. I would think about playing it under.
Did you do that on your video?
No, that was
Detroit
before
Lions?
I learned about the groin injury. I think I just talked about him being an impact player. But if you think about it, like long term, if he's playing with a groin injury, he's going to miss games this season.
He did last year too. Like they took him out. I remember I drafted him in one of my leagues, and he didn't play the back half of the season, more or less.
And I mean, they are all like, listen, the first game, Jamal Williams went 9 carries for 15 yards. They have one of the top 10 O-lines, blase, but
supposedly.
Yeah, you're telling me they're probably going to face 8-man, 7-man boxes because it's Jared Goff at quarterback. Like, I would rather him beat me one-on-one downfield than risk DeAndre Swift having a game. So Hawkinson's going to be the guy. He's probably going to get some doubles. They're going to scheme him up, Swift out the backfield, and then that's it. Like, Tyrell Williams isn't the guy. St. Brown, I think he's going to be good if he can put things together. Him in the slot, like, speed kills, and that guy's fast. But, man, that wide receiver core is a sight to behold.
Could be bad. Do you want to play the video from before? I don't know if you can pull it up. I know we hadn't planned on it. We do have some extra time if you want to play your Detroit video. In the meantime, I pulled up a DeAndre Swift line. At one spot, it's 915.5 yards. That's for rushing. It's not receiving plus rushing. That's just rushing. So
Lions haven't had
a 1,000-yard rusher since when? Do you know?
2014. Reggie Bush.
Really? And then you wouldn't have guessed it was Reggie Bush either. That's funny.
And then before that, it was Kevin Jones twice in like 2005 and 2004, I think.
And now you don't have a passing game to even help the run game as often, and you're going to be losing frequently enough in second half. You're not going to be running.
Listen, man, on Saturday when I was watching the game, I think it was plus 2,800, Lions go 0-17. I don't see, man, I don't see anywhere.
You would be better off. Here's a teaching moment. I know we don't do a ton of those. Quan's kind of new. By the way, the Swift under, the point of all this is I think that's actually pretty strong. And Marcus said for fantasy, he just doesn't like him. He's staying away. So if you were to take the other team the Lions play on the money line in week 1, you win whatever you win there. You would risk 100 to win like $23 or whatever it would be. I'm not 100% sure what the money line price is. Then you take that 123 in week 2 and you put it on whoever the Lions are facing. Then you take that winning with the 123 and you add that and you bet it all in week 3 on the team the Lions are facing. It's called a Moneyline Rollover.
Okay.
That will, without me even looking, almost certainly over the course of 17 games, pay you better than the 28-1 prop of just like, now it takes more work. You have to be like plugging in a play every week. But if anyone's actually interested in betting that, usually 28-1, whatever the prices they're offering on they're going to go 0-17, you're better off just starting a Moneyline rollover from week 1. And it's the same as, if you were to lose. And it also gives you the opportunity, though, like, say week 14, I don't know who they play week 14, but say they play a game where it's like a 50-50 game.
Yeah.
You just pocket it there, like call it a day, just, lock it in. And then you don't have to, like, sweat it if you were to bet it before the season. So, anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. You said we got a call?
Yep.
On the line? Cool. We can patch them through. Welcome to Last Word, Cheetah. Who are we speaking with?
What's going on, Preston? Andre from Massachusetts.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Today, staying with MLB. Got to wait 2 days for the NFL gets back going. Have a little bit stronger with the NFL than the MLB. But I'm liking the Cubs plus 1.5 against the Rockies. I believe Justin Steele is on the hill.
Yep.
Cubs, you know what I mean? I had to wait. We got ourselves a championship here in Boston. When Theo came to town, Cubs had to wait for Theo to come to town to get the championship. Obviously, he's left and works for MLB, so they're in a kind of rebuilding phase. But I'm feeling like Justin Steele is the man for the job today to get the job. I don't want to say job. He's going to get it done, and that's going to be my play for today. And I'm looking forward to the end of the week when the NFL gets back. Can feel be on a little bit firmer ground.
For sure.
I don't mind asking briefly, how am I doing in the standings? I feel like I might have taken a dip.
You may have. Quan's pulling it up right now. I'll have him check. You're right. It's a lot nicer.
I assume that I have taken a dip, frankly.
Yeah, my guess is that he's a little bit negative, but not too bad because you were doing well early on with Olympic stuff and hoops there. He's pulling it up. He had to pull his laptop out from the other side. He's -2 units or so.
I don't want to.
Yeah, so if you're like around -2, you're only about 15 units behind Tom. But what?
Okay.
Quarter
I got
of a
to pick up
unit.
the MLB.
Oh, you're ahead. Quan said you're actually in the green, plus 0.25.
Hey!
Slightly in the green, so you're in all right shape.
Slightly.
And you've been betting baseball.
That's a smile. That's a smile of the day, Preston. Hey, thanks for taking the call, and I'll get back with you guys tomorrow.
No problem. Take care, man. We appreciate it. It is going to be nice when football comes. I mean, I told people earlier, like, if you want to fire football now, you can, especially college. We're going to have some games this weekend. I'll get into them more the next 2 days personally. I know a couple people have been asking on Twitter, when's the college football talk? Look, I know games start week 0 on Saturday. We just did like 8 weeks straight of covering like conference and school previews. So focusing on NFL this week, but we will talk Nebraska, Illinois, Hawaii, UCLA, UTEP, New Mexico State, and Connecticut, Fresno State. Might have something I like in that game, by the way. So stay tuned for that next 2 days. I believe we're in the clear to end this whenever we need to end it, right? I just want to confirm we're not on the hard schedule. So in about an hour, we have Steam Warning, the Right Angle Sports release show. Last week, again, reminding people, they released Kansas State at pick against Stanford. It's now up to -2.5. They're going to have another play for everybody today that I think is going to be positive, expected value. You get the play in. We release it at the exact moment for everyone to fire. We do it live on the stream. It's pretty fun. And then I'll break it down after they give it to us. Share my 2 cents. I won't always have an opinion either direction, but we'll see if I do. And then we just wrap it up. It's like a 10 to 12 minute show. Straight, simple, easy. And next week, again, Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire? 99.9% sure we're officially launching it. Its own time slot, Monday, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. So everyone can get ready for that. A chance to win $25,000. Anybody can call in on Monday. This is Last Word Cheetah. Qwan, thank you for the time. Marcus as well. You can check him out again at Marcas G. He's from the NFL Network, breaking down a ton of fantasy and his football thoughts there on his Twitter feed. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific with more Last Word Cheetah. And again, in an hour, we'll see you guys Steam Warning, the Right Angle Sports live release show.